Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday show. Glad to have you with me. We had a lot to talk about yesterday, and we got into it. We got more to talk about today. Yesterday, obviously, that reprehensible jamming of the refiguring of the congressional districts in Texas, that was reprehensible. We had to go with that. But there was other stuff happening that we kind of had to push to the back. And one of them, I feel like it's perked your ears up, and it should. And now it's getting a little more traction in the media. And I got so much to get to today that I got to jump right in. Okay. Another unprecedented move by this administration, by the Republicans in Congress. And this one is concerning the CPB, all right, public broadcasting, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They oversee NPR and PBS, okay? But it doesn't just include that. It includes USAID as well. And we've talked about hits to USAID previously, obviously in the one big ugly ass bill and in the budget proposal for 2026, clawing back all sorts of valuable things, but USAID being one of the things that were targeted by DOGE specifically. And that clawback is beginning, all right? The clawing back of funds is beginning, but this one is particularly underhanded and a little unprecedented, more dirty pool out of the Republicans. There is what is called a rescission bill, and we're going to hear from people much more intelligent than I am about what it is. But the aim of this rescission bill is to claw back about $1.1 billion from NPR, PBS, USAID, PEPFAR. Okay, they're all of those together in one rescission bill. Funds that were bipartisan allotted to be spent are now being clawed back. But again, I'm going to allow people more intelligent than me to explain it to you. And I am really excited for you guys to grab this because you've been hearing about it here and there. And I'm going to give you the implications. I'm going to let you know exactly how it's going to affect, the country and a little globally as well. Here's them passing it in the Senate.
This vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 48, and on this vote, the bill is amended as passed.
So at 2:30 a.m., which is becoming a common theme with the Republicans, right? All the unsavory stuff gets passed, debated, and voted on, in the dead of the night when you guys are sleeping, when you're not aware, and it's left to people like me to grab this stuff and jam it in front of you as quickly as we can. So at least that portion of their grift doesn't quite succeed. Like, it's not just obviously on me with my meager audience, but, other networks, they got to grab this stuff. They got to let you know what they're doing in the dead of the night to things you care about. Do you care about NPR? Do you care about PBS? We're going to get into some of the programming that may be affected, and we're going to get into what's going to be affected in USAID. But that is passed in the Senate, barely. I think it was 51-48, and now it goes to the House. What do you think is going to happen there? Okay, it's our Congress is completely tribal. There is nothing that happens bipartisan anymore, except the Epstein stuff, right? The one thing we all care about. Massey and Ro Khanna getting together for some bipartisan legislative action to get these Epstein files released. That's bipartisan, but nothing else. So it's going to go to the House to claw back this $1.1 billion. Here is the smartest guy in the House, or Senate rather, the smartest guy in Congress on the Hill, period. Sheldon Whitehouse. Love playing sounds from Sheldon. Here he is telling you about kind of what a rescission bill is.
Well, here we are tonight in the Senate voting on a Republican rescissions bill. What is a rescissions bill? Well, if for some reason funding is no longer necessary for a project, if conditions have changed, there's a law that allows for Congress to rescind, hence rescission, the funding that had been previously appropriated to projects where it was now no longer necessary. Always done previously on a bipartisan basis, very often through an appropriations type process. What the Republicans have done is to weaponize that rescissions rule, use it on a purely partisan basis, and use it to attack some of their favorite enemies, like National Public Radio, Elmo, or food for starving people overseas. So that's what they're doing now.
All right. So that's what they're doing now. Funds that were appropriated in a bipartisan nature are now being clawed back. And the thing about the funding, originally, that was a 60-vote majority in the Senate to pass that spending. And now it's only a simple majority to claw back the aspects of that spending that they don't like. Weaponize it, like Sheldon told you. And by the way, the vote was 51-50. I apologize, and it took Vance to come down and break that. I don't know where I got the 48. That was something else. Sorry. 51-50 was the vote in the Senate. Barely got there. Susan Collins, among others, voted against it, Republicans. It took Vance to come down. It took Vance to come down and break the tie. Who appropriated this money originally? Oh, and by the way, first I want to tell you about the rescission bill. I'm sorry, I put the cart before the horse for just a second. The rescission bill, and he told you basically what it is, and I've just explained basically what it is. But it is a formal request by the president to cancel money that Congress has already appropriated for federal spending. Okay, and this is through the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. It was designed to limit presidential power over spending after Nixon tried to withhold funds unilaterally. So Nixon spurned this bill, or this act of 74, Impoundment Control Act. It was because of Nixon trying to do, a little bit of his Trump before Trump, right? Inspiration. It's the president submits the rescission request to Congress. Congress has 45 days, 45 legislative days to act on it. And during that time, the funds are frozen. And Congress can pass the rescission bill with a simple majority. Like you said, no filibuster, simple majority. Vance came down and broke the tie. There have been historical uses of rescission. Reagan and Bush Sr., over a decade, they clawed back billions. Dozens of rescissions successfully got through under those two. Bill Clinton, he got $600 billion back. That was the last successful rescission, was under Bill Clinton. Donald Trump then came along and failed twice. He tried to claw back $15 billion in 2018. The House passed it. The Senate rejected it, barely, 2 votes. And now 9, yeah. And so now the $1.1 billion in a 2:30 a.m. vote, right? So we'll see if this is the first successful use of this since Clinton did it. Yes, in 99, right? That was the last successful. So, and this will be successful. I'm not going to sit here and waste a minute of my own time or yours by telling you, hey, this might do this, or some people might come across and do that. No. This will pass. Don't worry about that. That's why we're moving right onto the detrimental effects of what's going to happen instead of will it happen. Will it happen? It will happen. So let's just move right ahead to what will be affected, right? And by the way, like I said, this was bipartisan funding. This was bipartisan funding. Part of this deal, and by the way, it was a Democratic-controlled Senate and a Republican-controlled House that came to this agreement originally for this funding. Foreign aid, PEPFAR, CPB, all funded. The Democrats viewed these programs as critical to U.S. soft power, global health, and rural access to education and information. Many of the Republicans, they opposed it, but at the time they wanted to avoid a government shutdown, so they went along with it. And their plan was, go along with it now. Our boy Donnie will win, and when he gets in, and if we win both, the House and the Senate, we can claw all this back at our discretion. Fast forward, here we are. Their little prognostication proved true, and they are now able to claw back just the aspects of this spending that they don't like, that will trigger the libs. I mean, and I say trigger the libs because this feels like part of the culture war. Because, I mean, really, what does NPR and PBS bring to the table? Stories about other cultures. highlighting injustices, keeping you up to date on some of the nooks and crannies of our government and, our allies' governments and governments around the world, what's happening with them, revolutionary groups and insurgencies, all sorts of things that sometimes the U.S. media outlets just don't want to dig their claws into, don't want to bite down on for whatever reason, right? PBS and NPR was pretty all-encompassing. And what is all-encompassing? It's DEI, of course. It's the culture war in action. And this is also right in lockstep with all the other Project 2025 objectives. It is one of their main objectives. They are doing it. It's happening. Chris Murphy, I told you I love Chris Murphy. He gives a very, very clear breakdown of what happened here, detailing better than I just did exactly the dirty tricks that the Republicans just employed.
8 times since 1974, when Congress created the rescissions process, one party has controlled the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. 8 times. It's actually 4 times Democratic control and 4 times Republican control. And never before has either party done what Republicans are doing today. Pass a partisan rescissions bill, double-crossing the minority party and canceling spending that just months before both parties shook hands on. First, in a bipartisan appropriations bill passed in March of 2023, and then again in multiple bipartisan continuing resolutions. When a party controls the White House and both houses of Congress, it always has the power to use the rescissions process to pull a fast one, to agree with the minority party on a budget, because the rules say that you need 60 votes to pass a budget, to get majority party priorities funded in exchange for funding minority party priorities, and then to use the rescissions process to just double-cross the minority.
What they did, and that's what they did.
By using that process, which only requires 50 votes, to just then cancel the minority party's priorities.
See how that works? You see why elections matter? You see why the midterms matter? Is that getting clear to you? Because they captured both the House and the Senate, they get to agree on bipartisan legislation a year ago and then simply claw back everything that they negotiated with the minority party and just eliminate it. Claw it back. Just goodbye. Sorry. And of course, first person you shove in front of a camera if you're Donald Trump to defend the most, egregious of your policies and laws, and it's Mike Johnson. He's the first one to get in front of a camera and defend the defenseless.
The NPR and PBS components this is in our view the misuse of taxpayer dollars. They're biased reporting. They're not objective. They pretend to be so. They have for a long time, and the people don't need to fund that. I mean, we're in an age of, you all know, you work in the industry. I mean, media is so multifaceted now. There's so many avenues and areas for information. And while at its origination, NPR and PBS might have made some sense, and maybe it does now, but it shouldn't be subsidized by taxpayers. So these are simple questions to answer for us. The House has acted appropriately, and I hope the Senate will do the same. I've urged them, as I always do, to please keep the product unamended because we have a narrow margin and we got to pass.
Unbelievable. You people who love NPR or PBS, sit your kids down in front of it, listen to it on your way to work. Do you feel like it's a left-wing mouthpiece? Do you feel like it's, a culture warrior outlet with nothing but biased reporting? That's bullcrap and you know it. Republicans, you love Ken Burns. We're going to get into what PBS and NPR provide the American public, and it is not, biased culture war.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett Breaks Things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
That we view that this is an instrument where government was funding those who provide content against the American dream. And so we really are a part of trying to do overall, moving back this government within its own waistline, within an opportunity to know what's correct spending. I'm not going to use the word constitutional, but really the limits that the American people produce and provide. And so, yes, I assume we will go home and tout this, but we first have to get it done, as you suggest. And the first time is probably makes it harder, but the first time is also an indication of our desire to move it forward. We have, with the president, President Trump, a person who actively leads. He does not lead from the rear. He leads from the front. Very, very proud of the president for listening to us. That drumbeat that we've had for years, the call is being answered by the chief executive of the United States of America.
Pete Sessions, I don't want to hear about the American dream from you. I don't want to hear about it from you. I think you're pretty disconnected from the American dream. I think the American dream is about being raised right, having a career you love, starting a family or creating one through friends, maybe starting your own family, kids, being able to pay your bills comfortably, have some fun on the weekends. I think that's a lot of people's idea of the American dream. Maybe the American dream is running from an oppressive government or an area of your country that is run by gangs, or running from strife, hunger, disease, coming here, becoming a citizen, forging your own path in America. Maybe that's the American dream. For a lot, that's the American dream. Maybe the American dream is marginalizing immigrants for you. Maybe the American dream is engaging in bigoted activities, racist activities, and organizations, pursuits. I know that's some people's American dream. This is the problem. He talks about the American dream while he's demonizing inclusion, culture, arts, science, different viewpoints. He talks about the American dream and then demonizes and helps claw back funding from programming that in many people's eyes and mine embodies the American dream. There's going to be effects. There was a great CNN report. I'm going to read just some of it to you, just the highlights, talking about the effects this may have, this rescissions bill. Over time, some local stations may be forced off the air, which is really sad, I think, that the Republicans are pushing this when it's going to be a lot of red areas affected by this. Detailed in here, and I'm going to get to some of it, is the fact that, and Rod, I know you're concerned about this. I'm going to put your mind at ease. Nobody listens to more NPR than my stepdad, Rod. And at first, as you know, when I first started riding in cars with him and he had NPR on long trips, I've got ADHD squared. And for a 12-year-old, literally bouncing off the inside of the car the entire trip, the NPR was tough. But as I got older, I appreciated it. And I learned a lot. And I used to just sink in. I used to just sink into the programming, looking forward to the next, gem, the next culturally relevant, exposure from NPR. I grew to love it. Well, NPR is one of the bigger outlets. And here's the thing. NPR's funding is only like 1% federal funding. Most of NPR's funding comes from listeners like you, right? Viewer funding. But some of the other things that are funded through the CPB are more local. Now, the CPB broadcasting in major cities will be largely unaffected because they have such a large and wealthy listenership in large cities like New York, Chicago, LA, that they can survive this. They really can survive on viewer funding. Who's going to be off the air? Local and rural outlets of the CPB. They will be off the air. They cannot handle a cut in federal funding, let alone a complete rollback. They will be off the air. So who is going to be actually affected by this? anybody in Republican areas in the Midwest or rural areas that vote red time and time again, your representatives are about to take away your favorite NPR or PBS broadcasting locally. Republicans are pushing it, and once again, Republicans are going to be hurt. I mentioned Ken Burns. He said, I couldn't do any of the films that I've done if they weren't on PBS. He talked about it more on the Joe Rogan podcast. It was revelatory. And we all love Ken Burns. NPR, All Things Considered, Morning Edition, Fresh Air, Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is a news quiz show, satire, Card Talk, This American Life, Planet Money, Code Switch, Radiolab, The Moth, Hidden Brain, On the Media, PBS. I mean, you guys, we sit our kids down in front of PBS for hours at a time. We trust PBS with helping raise our children. And now it's under a culture war attack. Now it's DEI. Now Sesame Street is DEI. Come on. Frontline, Nova, American Experience, Masterpiece Theater, Antiques Roadshow, Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow, Joy of Painting. I mean, come on. But what's really tragic about this is they jammed it in with rolling back $400 million in funding for PEPFAR, rolling back hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for USAID. The effects on USAID, this is truly heartbreaking. Disaster relief. Okay, I'm going to break them down real quick. Humanitarian assistance that USAID provides, disaster relief for earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, wars like Ukraine, Gaza, and Syria, food aid, emergency rations, therapeutic food, and malnourished children. Health crisis, they help with outbreaks of Ebola, COVID, they give vaccinations, clean water access. Globally, HIV and AIDS, major funder of the PEPFAR program, which is the presidential emergency plan for AIDS relief. And PEPFAR has been active in 50 countries and has saved 25 million lives. $400 million gone for PEPFAR. That's gone. Gone. And that's not all USAID did. It wasn't just health-related concerns that they assisted in. Democracy, human rights, and governance. Election support. Monitors logistics and anti-corruption measures in foreign countries, burgeoning countries, helps with the rule of law, judicial training, police reform, support for independent media. They help in education, primary and secondary schooling, literacy and numeracy, teacher training, school infrastructure. They help with economic growth and agriculture, small business support, sustainable agriculture, trade infrastructure. They are Ethiopia, Nigeria, Kenya, DRC, Jordan, Yemen, West Bank, Gaza, Iraq, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, Ukraine, Georgia, Kosovo, Haiti, Colombia, Guatemala. Hardline Republicans, MAGA Republicans, and just Trump-supporting Republicans, you people that voted for Trump, I know you don't consider yourself evil, and I don't consider all of you evil. But this is evil. The people you elected are doing something that is evil. I don't need to make it any more complicated than that. Are you still proud of America when we're rolling back AIDS relief, humanitarian aid, election integrity in foreign burgeoning nations? Does this make you proud of America? Are you happy about this? Just put a big smile on your face? Are you proud to go talk about this with anybody who may not know about it? Look what my government did. Look how great America is. We're no longer helping AIDS victims. We're no longer feeding starving children. We're no longer educating in undereducated countries. There's no way anybody, anywhere on the political spectrum think this is a good thing. This is where we should be clawing back the funding. And don't forget, this is a Doge initiative. And where's Elon now? He's gone. Yeah, he's smoking galaxy dust in some subterranean mansion with robot servants feeding James Bond to laser sharks. Where's Elon to answer for any of this? He's gone. Thanks, Elon.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because silence isn't an option.
Okay. All right. So we had a little bit more. We had a chance to hear from some other people. We got to keep it Oscar Mike on this program, but I encourage you to talk about what's going to happen to USAID and NPR, PBS. I'm glad it's on your radar. I want you to put it on other people's radar, and I want you to ask MAGA or hardline Republicans in your life, are you happy about this? Do it in a non-confrontational way. Just take a little poll in your life. Find out how many of them have the gall to defend it and what tactics they use, and take note. It's pretty despicable, and I'd be hard pressed to think that many people anywhere on the political spectrum can get behind any of that. Other things that people are having a hard time getting behind, and that is, once again, the people that Donald Trump is surrounding himself with. The best people. Only the best people. I'm going to bring you a couple. And then we're going to get to a bigger deal concerning the best people. Now, we have, we've talked about the failings of Kristi Noem and Tulsi Gabbard. We've talked about how unqualified Pete Hegseth is. We've heard conspiracy theories out of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And Pam Bondi is nothing but a Trump cheerleader disguised as the head of the DOJ. She is a cudgel to be swung around by Donald Trump at his leisure and attack anything the DOJ can touch. Along culture war lines, of course. Nothing legitimate. Just personal grudges, like mentioning Adam Schiff and other people that he wants to attack. We've talked about how unqualified these people are. I'm going to bring you a couple of them. I'm going to bring you a couple of these unqualified people. The first guy I'm going to bring you is a man named Nick Adams, Australian expat, and he is going to be our ambassador to Malaysia. He's going to be our ambassador to Malaysia. I'm going to let him speak for himself. Just the best people, by the way. Don't forget that. Only the finest people.
Unfortunately, today, it's more important to be a minority than it is to be a qualified person. We're going to be delivering truth bombs. How the most persecuted group in the United States of America are straight, white, Christian men. That's the reality. We're going to be talking about the need for men to be men and women to be women.
Mean to be mean? Okay, so that flat out is about as dangerous as rhetoric gets. Anytime the vast majority of a country claims that they are being victimized, we got a problem. We got a big problem. Straight white men are the most marginalized group in America? They're the most victimized group, straight white men? Really? Straight white men have all the power. They have all the money. They have all the control. And they have the majority in terms of the makeup of the United States. So they have it all. And they are claiming to be the victim. That's a problem. Because what does it look like when the majority fights back against the minority? What does that look like? When all the money and all the power decide to exercise it under the guise of fighting back their own victimization. What does that look like? I could give you examples, but people get all upset. When I talk about a certain area in Europe in the 1930s, they get all upset. So I'll let your mind wander. Just Google all the power being victims, ? I don't check it out, see what happens. But, it's not straight white men that are getting rounded up at their job, dragged out of their cars, ripped off the street, tricked to show up to their court date and then have their case dismissed and jammed into a van and sent to some internment camp somewhere in the United States. No, that's not happening to straight white men, Nick. That's going to be your ambassador to Malaysia. He's going to represent U.S. interests in a foreign country. How you feel about that? That's fun. I got another one for you. This one, he's not quite as offensive. What's really offensive about this next one is the unqualified nature of the man. Dr. Anja Sina. He's going to be our ambassador to Singapore. And Tammy Duckworth decided to grill him just a little bit about details of his upcoming position. You know, his qualifications. This is fun. I'm going to play this for you, and then we're going to move on.
What does holding the ASEAN chairmanship entail for Singapore? Can you name one thing? A role that they will have to play as ASEAN chair. What will?
Well, there you know that there. This ASEAN chair is not only one country. There are 10 countries involved.
No, the ASEAN chair is one country.
One country, 10. But there are 10 countries involved as an ASEAN group.
You're not answering my question. You're not answering my question, sir. Can you name one thing that will be of critical importance to Singapore as ASEAN chair? A role. There are many things. Can you name one
Defense,
thing?
Economics.
Those are very broad. Name an issue.
Trade.
I don't think, no. Okay, let's do something. In what way does the United States Navy work with Singapore, and how do you envision strengthening the U.S. Navy's work with Singapore? And are there any facilities that come to mind that are central to our relationship with Singapore?
Thank you for your question, but we have a naval presence in Singapore, and our military, they always do exercise with the Singapore. They come here, the Army of Singapore, they come here for the training as well. So we have a close ties with the Singapore in defense.
Can you name a specific thing? Please, I'm trying to help you here, but you've not even done your homework, sir. You want to be ambassador to Singapore, one of the most important friends we have in the Indo-Pacific, a key place that we're going to be fighting against our greatest adversary in the region, the PRC. Singapore may feature incredible culture, but that should not be treated as a glamour posting. This nation is too important to the United States, to ASEAN, to the entire region. And frankly, I think the mission is important to U.S. interests and national security, and it should actually be a foreign service officer. But I have even larger concerns with the political pick, when that political pick is somebody as unqualified as you. I've opposed political picks for Singapore from Democrats. So this is not a partisan issue. I just feel that you are not taking this seriously, and you think this is a glamour posting, that you're going to live a nice life in Singapore. But what we need is someone who's going to actually do the work.
It is a glamour posting. It is a glamour posting. It's exactly what it is. Who is this guy? Who is Dr. Anjay Sina? He's an Indian-born MD who emigrated to the United States, graduating from MGM Medical School and Delhi University. Here's the thing. He's a longtime friend of Trump. He was introduced to Trump by Senator Lindsey Graham, the Trump whisperer is what they're starting to call him, which I think is kind of funny. He's one of the guys who used to, be honest about what Donald Trump was going to bring to the presidency if elected, along with Ted Cruz and some of these other people, Marco Rubio, who used to tell the truth about Trump, and now we're in lockstep. So is Lindsey, the Trump whisperer. Lindsey introduced this guy to Trump a decade ago. I mean, this guy, he doesn't know anything about the post. He is grossly unqualified for this post. I mean, when asked about the Singapore trade surplus, he initially said it was $80 billion and was informed that's wrong. Then said, no, it's $18 billion. Well, that's wrong too. It's actually $2.8 billion. And it's not just that he got it incorrect. Like if he had said, oh, it's $3.8 billion. No, it's actually 2.8. You'd all say, oh, okay, that's parsing hairs. That's splitting hairs. That's, semantics, whatever. But when you thought it was 80, when 80 million came out of your mouth, in a guess, and then 2.8 million comes out later, that's not just not knowing it. That's having no clue about it. No idea that it couldn't even be close to $80 million. That's how unqualified he is. Okay? Grossly unqualified. Everybody in this administration is grossly unqualified. Now, continuing along this only the best people. There's one very egregious gentleman who's going to be, well, it was debated on whether he should be appointed to an appellate court judge, Third Circuit. His name's Emil Bove. Emil Bove. Some people are saying Bove. We've landed on Bove. Now, he is a former federal prosecutor turned senior Justice Department official and Trump defense attorney. Now, he's at the center of this nomination, okay? He's a native New Yorker, JD from Georgetown, joined the U.S. Attorney's Office in 2012, became part of the Trump legal team in 2021. All right? Now, currently, he serves as the Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. It's the number 3 position in the DOJ. Another crucial appointment. Just a Trump sycophant just plugged right in to another crucial posting. Now, there's some unsavory activity around Bove. CNN had a really interesting report about it.
Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee now says he has documentation backing up a whistleblower's claim. The top Justice Department official, Emil Bove, told DOJ attorneys to ignore court orders. Bove is a former personal lawyer to President Trump and is now up for a lifetime appointment to an appellate judgeship. He testified during his confirmation hearing last month that he did not recall making that alleged remark. But the whistleblower, who's since been fired from the department, previously told Congress Bove made the comments during a meeting one day before the Trump administration flew migrants to El Salvador under using, controversially, the Alien Enemies Act. Attorney General Pam Bondi today weighing in, saying no one was ever asked to defy a court order.
So, as a member of the Trump legal team, it is alleged, and we're going to have him you're going to watch him get grilled over this. He is really bad at telling the truth under oath. It is alleged that he was instrumental in those planes taking off to El Salvador in the face of a district court decision. He was instrumental. I don't want to dig too far into the details of what he said because it's going to get revealed here in the questioning. And so I want it to unfold. I want it to blossom like a flower naturally. This dude's no good, man. And he had a hand in maybe some shady backroom dealing with Eric Adams and the Trump administration's pardoning of him. All those details get revealed in this questioning.
Now back to Brett Breaks Things, smashing spin, silencing the noise, and keeping it all facts. We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett Breaks Things, where the stakes are high and the truth still matters.
Since you are under oath, in the complaint it says, Bove stated that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts "F you" and ignoring any such court order. Did you say anything of that kind in the meeting?
Senator, I have no recollection of saying anything of that kind. To the extent I
Wouldn't you recall, Mr. Bove, if you said or suggested during a meeting with Justice Department lawyers that maybe they should consider telling the court "F you"? It seems to me that would be something you'd remember, unless that's the kind of thing you say frequently.
Well, I've certainly said things encouraging litigators at the department to fight hard for valid positions that we have to take in defense of our clients.
And have you frequently suggested that they say "F you" and ignore court orders? Is that also something you frequently do, such you might not remember doing it on this occasion?
No, and as I explained, I have never directed.
So did you or did you not make those comments during that meeting?
Which comments, Senator?
You really need me to repeat it? Did you suggest, as Mr. Ruveni wrote, that DOJ would need to consider telling the court "F you" and ignore any such court order?
I did not suggest that there would be any need to consider ignoring court orders. At the point of that meeting, there were no court orders to discuss.
Well, did you suggest telling the court you in any manner?
I don't recall.
You just don't remember that.
I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't remember that. I don't recall. That's the Jeff Sessions defense, remember? Jeff Sessions, the trailblazer, sat in front of Congress. I don't recall. Like, dozens of times. What did it sound like? Just a bit. Just a taste. Wet your beak.
I did not have any private meetings, nor do I recall any conversations with any Russian officials at the Mayflower Hotel. I do not have any recollection. I do not remember it. I did not remember that. If I had remembered it, or if it actually occurred, which I don't remember that it did. I don't know about these reports. I don't recall it. And it's conceivable that occurred. I just don't remember it. I still do not recall it.
I say, I don't remember that. I say, I don't recall that. Okay, Foghorn. We get it. You don't remember. We got you. Neither does Emil. They don't remember nothing. They don't recall nothing. Nothing about nothing. Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. Yeah, sure. Schiff continues grilling him.
Remember that. Well, let me ask you this. It also says in the complaint, Bove indicated and stressed to all in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what. These are the planes that a judge was ordering not be used to render people to a maximum security prison outside the country. Did you say during that meeting, did you stress to all in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what?
Senator, your characterization is not accurate.
It's not my characterization. It's the characterization of a decorated prosecutor who was in that meeting. Are you saying that he's lying?
As I said at the beginning of the hearing.
No, I'm not interested in what you said at the beginning of the hearing. I'm interested in whether you stressed to people in attendance that the planes needed to take off no matter what. Did you say that?
I certainly conveyed the importance of the upcoming operation.
Well, don't paraphrase here. Did you tell people in attendance the planes needed to take off no matter what?
I don't recall this.
I don't recall. I don't recall. I feel like if any one of us sat in a room with Donald Trump and said, tell the district court judge to bleep you. If any one of us gave that advice to the president of the United States, I feel like we'd remember it. And then if any one of us doubled down shortly after and said, those planes that judge is talking about, they take off no matter what, Mr. President. I feel like you'd remember it. I feel like we'd all clearly remember that as a defining moment in our lives. I really do. But that's not the only little scandal that Emil is tied to. And Schiff grills him on it. And I'm going to let this play, and then I'm going to give you just a little background, just real quick, and we're going to keep it rolling.
The meeting over the decision to dismiss the case in New York, the corruption case against the mayor of New York. According to Ms. Sassoon, the U.S. attorney at the time, during the meeting with Adams' attorneys, where she described Adams' attorneys repeatedly urging what amounted to a quid pro quo, that you admonished one of the lawyers in the room to stop taking notes. Is that true?
I don't believe I instructed that attorney to stop taking notes. I did remark on the fact that he was taking extensive notes, yes.
And why did it concern you that he was taking notes of that meeting?
Because at that point in the meeting, we were discussing who was responsible for media leaks, and I was making the point that only the prosecutors had created an extensive record that could support detailed leaks.
And you were concerned, were you, that information about this potential quid pro quo might become public? Was that the concern?
I've explained that there was no quid pro quo.
Will you provide the notes of that meeting, which you, according to the U.S. attorney, instructed be collected at the end of the meeting?
I think a member of my staff may have given that instruction outside my presence, and I defer to the committee and the executive branch on records requests and how those should be handled.
Well, I would request that we seek these records, which go to the truthfulness or lack of truthfulness of this witness.
I don't think when Emil gave his advice to the president, he delivered it like this. I feel like this is all an act he's putting on. Because I feel like if you're going to tell a district court judge, bleep you, you'd be like, tell that court judge, bleep you. Those planes take off no matter what. Turn your phone off. Are you taking records? Are you recording this? Ay, Madonna mia, if you're recording this. I don't. I feel like this calm, demure persona is a bit of a put on by this guy, especially somebody who Trump loves. Come on. Because Trump surrounds himself with calm, gentle, demure people, right? So what's he talking about, by the way, with the quid pro quo? Well, he was a part of the dismissal of the federal bribery charges on Eric Adams. Disgraced Mayor Eric Adams brought up on federal bribery charges. He was facing that, right? Staring on the barrel of that. And they have a little meeting with Bove and some Trump legal counsel. Bove threatened some people's jobs. You better turn your phone off. And a little quid pro quo was worked out. Allegedly, according to whistleblower testimony, that was a direct quid pro quo. We drop these charges, and you get real comfortable with our new immigration policy. You give us zero pushback in your sanctuary city, right? Fall in line now, and we'll take care of you. Quid pro quo. Very simple. Bove. I'm sure he said it just like this. I'm sure he said, Eric, we're going to drop the charges, but you have to be sympathetic to our immigration policy. I'm sure he said it just like that, nice and calm and measured, please. So that's what he's talking about. And Dick Durbin, he jumps on the bandwagon.
In order to get Mayor Adams to cooperate with President Trump's immigration policy, you were prepared to drop the charges against him?
That's completely false, and I just explained why. Ranking Member Durbin, there's objective evidence in the record in that case that completely refutes the claim you just made.
And there's objective evidence to the contrary. On your call with individuals in the public integrity section, did you state, suggest, or imply that the section's career attorneys could be fired if none of them agreed to sign the brief dismissing Mayor Adams' indictment?
No.
That was the congressional version of you're a liar. I know you are, but what am I? That's basically what we just saw play out between Durbin and Bove right there. Senator, I believe you're lying. No, you're lying. And they just move on. It's not just Dick Durbin and Adam Schiff who have a problem with Bove being appointed to the U.S. Appeals for the Third Circuit, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. It covers Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. It's a pretty pivotal seat. It's a pretty important seat. And a lot of people don't like this. Not just these two gentlemen here. A lot of people don't like this. Hundreds, 900 DOJ alumni warned the Senate against this nomination. 2 letters were written. One by these DOJ alumni. This is Reuters reporting. Sarah Lynch reported from Reuters. And I'm just going to get into a couple of these real quick. Who else is objecting? More than 900 former U.S. Department of Justice employees on Wednesday warned the Republican-controlled Senate Judiciary Committee against confirming President Donald Trump's nomination of Emil Bove to serve as appellate court judge. The letter comes one day before the panel will vote. It voted. We are all alarmed by DOJ leadership's recent deviations from constitutional principles and institutional guardrails, the former department employees wrote, adding that he had disgraced the department. Emil Bove has been a leader in this assault. Gates McCavick, a DOJ spokesperson, defended Bove in a statement on Wednesday, saying he is a highly qualified judicial nominee who has done incredible work at the Department of Justice, blah, 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 blah. Of course, the sycophants are going to fall in line and get out there real quick in the face of 900 DOJ alumni saying otherwise. Who else? 75 former judges urged the Senate committee to reject this nomination. Mr. Bove's egregious record of mistreating law enforcement officers, abusing power, and disregarding the law itself disqualifies him for this position. One whistleblower, Erez Ruvenai, has provided members of this committee with compelling evidence and volunteered to testify under oath. The Senate has a duty to hear this whistleblower's testimony. Talking about quid pro quo, threatening people's jobs, telling the district court F you. The whistleblowers have laid it all out. And these judges are saying the Senate has to take this testimony into account. They cannot nominate this guy. Well, here we are. All right, here we are at the end of the line. And what has happened? In the face of 75 judges, 900 DOJ alumni, Dick Durbin, Adam Schiff, and anybody with any sense of decency, this flies in the face of all of that. What happened?
I mean, all this, but what happened in this hearing today occurred when Cory Booker, the senator from New Jersey, a Democrat, was railing against this nomination, and Democrats decided to walk out.
But you have to follow the precedents and procedures of this committee. This is outrageous that you're not allowing senators to have their fair say before a controversial nominee is being done. This is unbelievable. This is unjust. This is wrong. It is the further deterioration of this committee's integrity. With a person like this, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of hearing from Chris Coons? From hearing from one of my colleagues? From hearing from Adam Schiff? What is the fear here? Have at least the decency to have a vote on my point of order regarding Rule 4. I have respect for you, Mr. Chairman. We've served together for more than a decade, but this is outrageous. This is unacceptable. This is wrong.
I know.
So the chairman of the committee, Chuck Grassley, defended his decision to call that vote. He said what happened here was no different than what Democrats had done in a separate matter back in 2023 when they were in the Senate majority.
Look at the Democrats
and now the question is going to be whether or not this is a legitimate or illegitimate vote. Democrats say this was illegitimate. They say there was not a proper quorum. Republicans say this was a legitimate vote. That's going to be a question for the Senate rules keepers to decide. But nevertheless, Republicans have the vote, Wolf, and if they will want to press ahead and if they can keep defections to less than 3 on the Senate floor, ultimately Bove will get confirmed.
He's going to get confirmed. They all get confirmed. Equally as he's confirmed. It's done. It's done. He's confirmed. Sorry. Done. So Booker is sitting there trying to argue that there should be an argument, right? He's trying to argue, hey, we need to debate this. We need to have a chance to give our point of view, our dissension. And while he's saying that, they're taking the roll call, they're taking the vote. While he's saying we should not be voting on this. We should not be voting on this.
I don't understand this. What are you afraid of about even debating this, putting things on the record, hearing from every senator? Dear God, that's what our obligations are. It's to state our reasons for debate. At least address the Rule 4 point of order that we're calling. There's no need to rush this. What are we afraid of? We're not pressing for the 2-hour rule like you all did when you were in the minority. We're simply asking for a credible amount of time to air our concerns before the vote. We respect each other in this committee. We respect the understanding that we have things to say.
And so how do they respect the others in that committee? By taking the call over what he's saying about disrespect. Great job, Senate Judiciary Committee. Well done. Well done. And Democrats walked out. Walked out. And what does Chuck Grassley say on the back end? A bunch of whataboutism. Doesn't defend it at all. They never defend it. But Biden did this. The Democrats did that. But Obama did this. Always the whataboutism. Never the defense of the here and now. Your decision making right now. How did you come to it? Why did you come to it? Why did you ignore the pleas from Cory Booker to have the opposition heard? Simply heard, then have your vote. Nope. While you're asking to be heard, we're voting. Middle finger to you. It's a lifelong position. Hey, tell the district courts F you. Planes go out anyway. Little quid pro quo on the back end. It's all good. Lifetime appointment.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.